This information you are about to hear and perhaps view, these are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C.Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the parties this story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Hi, my name is Gary C. Clement, and welcome to the Gary Clement Radio Show and Podcast. In the wake of the latest SAG-AFTRA actors and writers strike to hit Hollywood, I wanted to get an inside look and information about how the strike has affected actors, writers, producers, directors, and others whom are part of the industry directly. To do this, we are talking to Hollywood agent Mr. Tay Smith of BYSB Talent Agency of Atlanta, Georgia. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Okay. So first of all, just as a talent agent, tell us exactly what it is that you do and how this strike affects you exactly.
Well, as a talent agent, my job is to discover the best actors and other talent realms as well, and to put them in places to where they can, essentially get on television, get on movies. So I have to present them to either casting directors or producers or directors in order for them to, be on your screen and be the actors that you see on a daily basis.
I see. Okay, cool. And just tell us a little bit about the company, when it was founded, and, some of the talent that you all currently have, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And something new that just happened, which I'll let everybody know. It's not too new, but it's newer since the last time that we've spoke, is we changed the name. The name used to be BYSB, still the same company, but we wanted to customize it a little bit more. And the agency name is Smith Young Talent Agency, which is my last name, which is Smith, and my business partner, Chris Young. So we changed the name, but we've been on our own, I'll say approaching 7 years here. And it's been, very eye-opening, just in general. We've been in the business together for many years before that, and probably have close to 12 to 13 years of just agenting experience. And before that, we were managers in the music business. So we have a history just in entertainment, just in general. And as far as, some of the actors that we have and faces that we have on our roster now, we have a good amount, but some of the well-known names that people may recognize is T.C. Carson, who was on Living Single. We have people like Madison Bailey, who was one of the stars on Netflix show Outer Banks. We have Reginae Carter, who is famously Lil Wayne's, the rapper's daughter. We have Sean Baker, who was also on Living Single, and just a lot of other great names and series regulars of people that you're watching today. And I'll say that most of the time, especially, even though we have offices on both coasts, meaning in California and based out of the Southeast, a lot, especially in the Southeast, anything that's being filmed here, which is right now it's besides what's going on, it's the number one filming destination. We have, at least one or two people placed, or if not more, in every single major project that is being done here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Now, I know that there was a strike or whatnot in the industry some years ago, and that had its effects, and it took a while or whatnot to resolve it. But what's the worst thing about this particular strike this time around?
Well, I think for this one, it is production houses were already planning for this. So we literally came out of COVID, which shut everything down. And once we came out of COVID to where it was kind of, okay to film, they overdid it, meaning they had put 1 and 2 seasons in the can right out the gate. They were filming nonstop in that window that they had to film because of number one, obviously we don't know if another pandemic is going to come. And number two, they knew that the strike was looming. So they gave themselves extra material that can be distributed to consumers over time versus they really weren't expecting the first strike to be the way that it was. So now they kind of knew in advance. So there's more things that were in the can that can last consumers a little bit longer versus, just nothing new appearing on television and in the theaters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So a strike is all about money. Are they fighting, would you say, more so about percentages for the, different, people involved here, or the studios are just, just don't want to give up anything? Explain some of that to us, please.
Well, it depends because right now you have 2 different sectors on strike. You have the actors, which are SAG-AFTRA, and then you have the writers, who's a part of the Writers Guild of America. And essentially, yes, the bulk of it is going to come down to money. So we can kind of go to the writers right now. So the biggest thing is the money that they're receiving from streaming networks, and more so specifically residuals. And I know it, all too well, just based off of not even the writers aspect of it, but even the actors. Like I said, we have a few series regulars that are on streaming networks and platforms, and it's they're a little slick with it. Production, their goal is always going to be to shoot high quality things for the lowest amount of money to fit a budget. Even though they have a lot of money left over, it just gives them more money to, either take home for themselves or to add it to more projects. And with this whole situation, they would do stuff that was not customary in the television and film business. So things that you might see, like a pay structure off of a CBS or a Fox, is completely different than what you would see on a Netflix or even a Hulu or let's say Netflix and Amazon or Apple TV for that matter, those major streaming platforms. So a clear example, and I might be off on some of the numbers, but I'm in the ballpark of what it is. So I watched the interview and also knew of a writer, and he was a writer for a project on, let's just say, CBS, and also a writer for a project on Netflix. And when it comes to residuals, those are things to where when you write something or you're acting on something, as many times as a network plays your material, you're supposed to get a percentage off of it. And then also keep in mind that, that percentage will go down over time. You're not going to be receiving a high percentage of something that you've done 5 and 10 years ago. That percentage is going to dwindle down because that it might not be as in high demand or getting played as much as it was when it first came out. So your first few checks are always going to be higher than the check that you have coming in after 5, 10 years, et cetera. But that's a whole nother story. Mm-hmm. But the one he said for the deal that he did with Netflix, over that year, he accumulated, I think it was around $450 in residuals.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And for the job that he did on CBS, he received close to 24,000 in the same time span.
Wow.
So you can see why they're wanting to get more residuals from streaming platforms, because streaming platforms, they were a while they were operating on their own agenda. There was no sanctioning body that could, regulate them as much as network and broadcast television.
Right.
So that's a clear example of what. So they're asking for obviously more money when it comes to residuals. Show us your numbers. For the longest time, Netflix would not show you their numbers. You can go on Nielsen SoundScan and see, the analytics of how many viewers viewed, NCIS this week, or Good Morning America today, or this movie that just came out that was broadcast, or this television show. You can see it. You can see the numbers. Netflix was not distributing their numbers. Here recently, they started doing something which, we still don't know if it's the actual numbers, where the amount of hours that people viewed their content. Oh, this is number one because of the amount of hours that it was viewed. So it's still not, regulated. So we really don't know, but they're asking for, for it to be regulated and for them to get more residuals. And the same thing with actors, for streaming. Like I said, we have, actors, on streaming networks, on Netflix, and their residuals is just a small lump sum built into their regular pay.
Right.
So let's just say, hypothetically, I'm gonna throw out a random number. Let's just say if your actor is getting, $30,000 per episode for a TV show that they're doing. They will say, hey, Netflix will say, hey, we're going to give you 32,000 or maybe 33,000 total, and all of that's supposed to last you. So 33,000 total just built into it. So we know the numbers are going to be way higher. You're supposed to be getting receiving more, but we're just going to give you just 32 or 33, and that's everything as a all-inclusive number.
Wow.
So in the financial aspect, that's what a lot of writers and actors are fighting for, is to get accurate numbers and accurate percentages when it comes to residuals. And then also the other big topic, especially when it comes to the writers, and it will definitely affect the actors down the line, is the utilization of AI, artificial intelligence. Why do I have to pay you, the writer, when I can just now tell AI to create me a thriller? And AI is going to create me a thriller within a couple of seconds, or maybe in a couple of minutes. Wow. So why am I paying you to write? Why am I paying you as a writer? So we can get rid of all the writers. And that's if I can just tell AI just to create me a suspense thriller, a comedy. Hey, I want you to create a comedy that's something that Kevin Hart would be in. And AI, with the intelligence that it has, can write a dynamic script based off of that. So they're trying to stop that. That's the other main point that they're trying to stop. And also that in the actors realm as well, too. I mean, we've seen, similar things. Like you might have seen things on YouTube where they call them deep fake. To where they are able to mimic and look like, the exact actor or a doppelganger, so to call. And they're able to analyze their regular speech pattern and the utilization of their words and, how they speak, and they're able to make it into a person that looks just like you. And it's not you. You've never said that. You've never been to the location where it's at. So just think in the future, if they can do that, and you're never there, and they can create a person that looks extremely real and can say anything that doesn't exist. So that's the whole artificial intelligence. So those are there are other small, things that they're fighting for, but those are definitely the two biggest on both sides.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Because I was going to say, yeah, so you've got syndication for television, then you've got the streaming stuff with, Spotify, YouTube, Reddit, all those things. And then you've got Apple TV, BET Plus, HBO Go. So you've got a multitude of different ways that the industry is actually making money. But like you said, again, the fight is about being able to who controls that money and how much of that money are you willing to give to people that really deserve it.
Correct. Because it's not a laughing matter, but you see a lot of the frustration coming out of Los Angeles, and understandably so. It's because you're doing these streaming platforms, and you're not getting what you would probably get on network, and streaming platforms are starting to take over. So you have more streaming platforms than you have regular networks. If not now, then it's going to be closed. That's the way that everything is going towards. But you have to factor in the cost of living in California.
Right. I understand that. Yeah.
I always say in a joking way that California is the land of roommates. Because it's almost hard to identify a middle class. It's either low or it's wealthy or rich. I just say rich.
Right.
It's almost an obsolete middle class there. Everything is so expensive, and the actors and the writers that are not celebrities, meaning actors, and when it comes to the writers, ones that are not constantly working throughout the year, they can't afford to live there.
Right, I understand.
They can't afford to live, so they're expecting the residuals to kick in, which it should, in order to help them to survive throughout the year if they only are in a writer's room for one show. If they contracted to do one show. I know a lot of I have obviously friends that are actual network writers and streaming platform writers, and they might be able to squeeze out two sessions of a show in a year, but sometimes it's just one. So if you're only getting, go back to what I just said, 450 to write a show for Netflix, and that's just residuals. That's just it's not the upfront pay,
right?
But that's just the lingering residuals that are supposed to come in. You can't survive, and in your mind, you're thinking that I have to be in this market, California or maybe LA, in order to, sustain a long career, which is slowly, that's changing. But that's what you're accustomed to.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not going to look good. So you see the most heat coming out of California because they're the ones that are suffering the most, and it's really based off of cost of living.
Wow. Okay. Now, Tyler Perry, he's in a slightly different position when it comes to this strike. Talk a little bit about his position with everything here.
Yeah, so number one, Tyler is his own. He is essentially his own production house. How he has everything set up, and right now, currently, even though it's someone that's competing with him, he has the biggest studio in the world.
Okay.
And if not in the world, it's definitely in the United States. I think it might be a slightly bigger one, and I think it might be Korea. Or maybe it's China. I'll figure it out. But here in the United States, he has the biggest studio right now. It's another studio here in Georgia that's trying to rival him once they're finished. But right now, he has it. And his stuff is 100%. He has high stakes ownerships versus just a regular production house. So he has an actual studio. And the majority of how he was operating, let's just say for writers' sake, he was writing the majority, if not all, on his own. And how he typically operates is he'll go, on a retreat. Let's just say if he'll go on a retreat for 1 to 2 months, and he will write out everything. Like he will write 2 movies, 3 TV shows, or vice versa. And then he will come back and within 2 or 3 months, film everything that he written. And then he's free for the rest of the year to do whatever he wants. Right. So how the writers were set up with this writer's strike is they wanted you to stop writing, and you were forbidden to make any edits. So if you're on a network television and you say you're writing something hypothetically to say, hey, the man walked into the gas station. If you want to write in there, the woman walked into the gas station, that's going against the writer's strike because you can't make any edits to your writing. Mm-hmm. But he didn't have to make any edits, so-called. There's nobody really, that's monitoring or able to monitor him because he owns everything.
Right.
So that's why he was able to still be shooting now, even though he's finished shooting now, where he would have ran into trouble is not the writer's strike. He would have ran into trouble with the SAG-AFTRA actors strike because some of his actors are members of the union. Mm-hmm. So if they wanted to not work to support the strike, that's where he, along with everyone else, will have the issue.
Right. I understand. I got you. But hey, like you said, if he's got total control of his own ship to kind of call things the way that he wants to, produce and shoot like he wants to. Hey, I mean, why would you, if you're not a member of the union and you're working for them already, why would you put yourself in that position?
Correct. Correct.
That's
Correct.
Interesting. Very, very
interesting. So you kind of see how combining the two strikes. So they already, there was a director's negotiation, which they came out, with their negotiations, and they came to an agreement. So, but if you can imagine all of them, more than one sanctioning body being in a strike at the same time, it's amplifying the hurt that it's doing to the industry, which is hopefully the goal with that is to fuel everyone to the negotiating tables to try to get something done.
So now tell me something, because you just said something in regards to like with Tyler Perry, you got me thinking, what's the percentage of the industry that is not, Screen Actors Guild affiliated or AFTRA, affiliated?
You know what? I don't know the exact percentage, but you have to figure like this. The majority of the actors are because they are either forced to if they're in union states. So union states meaning California or New York or places like, I think Chicago is one too. To where if you film a project that is under, in all major projects, 99.9% of the time or 98% of the time, they're going to be union based. All major projects are going to be union. Everything that you see on TV, for the most part, like the big movies, the big TV shows you see, they're union based. So if you shoot a movie or a TV show that's a part of the union, let's just say in California, like even if you shoot one episode, they will not allow you to, or a production to hire you without being fined if you go back to do another TV show once you already did the first one.
I see.
So they find production companies each time to where they have to pay in order to have you in the project if you as an actor remain non-union and you're working on these union projects. So that forces the actors to become union. But then you have the other side where you have the right to work states to where you can't really enforce it, which are a good amount of the southern states. So you have Georgia, you have the places like North Carolina, you have places like New Orleans that are right to work states to where they can work on, they could be not affiliated with the union, but they can work on these union movies and TV shows. And the only thing they can get is a letter just encouraging them to be a part of the union. They can't force them as long as they are filming on right to work state soil. If they leave and go to, they leave and shoot. If they could do 50 big TV shows in Georgia, and they can just get a letter asking them to join. But if that 51st project is shot in New York, there'd be what they call a must join.
It's a union state.
So you have to do it's a union state. So that's why they can do that. So that's where, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm unsure of how many people are union versus, but also in the southern states, being
Mm-hmm.
two actors that were brought up. That's always a goal of theirs. That's a rite of passage, is to be a part of SAG-AFTRA. So even though they don't have to be,
Mm-hmm.
they are eager to join SAG-AFTRA. So you're probably going to find more, you know,
Mm-hmm.
established actors that are a part of the union versus
Not.
established actors that are not a part of the union. Correct.
Right, right. Okay. So now here's something interesting. Now that streaming has come along, like you said, and it's slowly, like you said, your major actors as well as I guess you could say your major studios in a sense too are kind of sort of looking for a zip code where the cost of production and all these things are half of what they are in California. And with
Mm.
streaming coming along, does that create a situation where more and more actors are getting jobs and stuff, and they're kind of looking away from being, unionized, especially like you said here in the South? How is that working?
Yeah, like I said, they a lot of times that's the least of the actors' mindset. They just all they know is I need this. Well, maybe I should say I want this, this, and this. I want to be a part of the union just so I can get that card that says I'm part of the union, and maybe they'll take me even more serious
Mm-hmm.
as an actor. So that's their mindset. But you're absolutely right. The reason why the southern states are, especially Georgia, is so big when it comes to filming, it really comes down to the amount of money that production is saving based off of the tax credits.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to get substantial tax credits that beat out everyone else by a thin margin. But saving money is saving money just in general,
Right.
whether you're saving a few thousand, a few hundred thousand, or even a few million. If you're saving, you're saving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the, why so many people are coming to, the Southeast to film, and when it comes to like New Orleans or just say Louisiana, just in general, their tax credits are more pinpoint towards film versus TV, to where Georgia is television and film.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get more of a break on just film in New Orleans versus, California or New York or wherever it is. So that's also why that's a destination as well. But yeah, when it comes to these, the actors, it's just something that they feel that they want us to be, just in general, a part of the union, whether they need it or not. A lot of it, I'll say is beneficial, and some of it is just mind over matter. But that's how they believe they want. That's a goal for this, so they're going to try to achieve their goal.
I see. Okay, cool. Okay. So for new artists, writers, entertainers looking to get involved when in Hollywood, like you said again, if you're here in the South, it sounds as if now that it's much easier to get involved because the SAG-AFTRA card is not always, needed. You got a pretty straight road or whatnot into it. What's your advice or whatnot to, new people that want to become part of the industry?
Well, just I would really, really break it down from not only just an opportunity standpoint, but also a financial standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when we're bringing in new actors or maybe even new writers or whatever, the first thing I always ask them is, where is your base going to be? Meaning, not only where you live, but where's your support system going to be? Do you have family or friends that are closer to California? Do you have family or friends that are closer to Georgia, New York? Because it's a financial burden from the beginning, just depending,
Mm-hmm.
and right now, it's filming going on everywhere. So you need to also be able to get up and get on a flight
Mm-hmm.
and get somewhere when you can. So a lot of it, what I tell new actors is just break down what the cost is going to be traveling. Because, like I should say, if you just automatically in your mind say, I want to go to California because that's what I was taught. I was taught that California or LA is where everything is happening. I'm just getting up and going. I'm leaving, I don't know, New Jersey, or I'm leaving Baltimore, and I'm living over there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what a lot of people were realizing over the past few years that the majority of their opportunities were coming from the Southeast. Mm-hmm. So you got the cost of living is high over there. Now you have to factor in the amount of money of getting on a flight and at a moment's notice and getting to the Southeast in order to film if you're actually working. Mm-hmm. Or it could be the opposite way around, to where, hey, you book something in California, so now you got to go and see how you're going to maneuver them expensive hotels and the $60 a night parking and, the food that is and that's tax times 2. And then also you have gas that is $6 a gallon over there, and you got a rental car. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to maneuver all of those things? Really needs to be what the actor is thinking about from the gate when getting into this is, where is your base? Where's your aunt, your mom, your sister, your cousin at that got a couch where you can stay for free? You don't have to pay for a hotel no matter where you are. They got an extra car, or you could take them to work first, or you're close enough to where you can Uber. Those are all things that the new actors should really think about when getting into this. And when it comes to, being a part of the union, just, find out what's best for you, because, once you're part of, to get into the union, you have to pay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have union dues that come. Mm-hmm. So they're taking you have to pay them, or they're taking a percentage off of, what you book. Mm-hmm. Whatever structure, that you work out from the beginning. So all of that is stuff that you have to keep in mind, especially if you're, in a southern state and you're not forced to do it. It's just something to think about. Mm-hmm. It's pros and cons to it all. You just have to really figure out what's going to be best for you as a new actor, and really give it some thought and kind of plan everything out before you make that big move to whatever place that you're going to be going to pursue your career.
I see. Okay, cool. So for those who want to know more about your company, as well as how to contact you all, what is your social media information? How do they contact you?
Yeah, so you can find us on any social media platform, and whether it's the personal one or whether it's the business one. The business one is going to be SY Talent Agency. And that's also email address to sytalentagency.com. But that's also like social media handles, whether it's Twitter. Well, it's not called Twitter no more. It's called X now, as of yesterday. Mm-hmm. And your Facebook page. But also we have a pretty big following on Instagram at that same handle, SY Talent Agency. And also for personal, you can reach me at Tay Smith, ENT. So at Tay, TAYSMITHENT on all platforms.
We really do appreciate our guests who participated in this episode, and we hope you learned something that will bless your day and your life. For all who are interested in learning more about the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, please visit www.amazon.com and order my book, The Gary Clement Radio Show, When Strong Afro-American Men and Women Stand Up. It covers everything about us and features a variety of Afro-American personalities who speak out about the importance of education and literacy in the Black community. Well, we thank you for tuning into our podcast. Please send us your email address so we can contact you when we have new releases and new episodes and new projects as well. You can reach us at gccpresents@yahoo.com. And also, if you're interested in submitting any materials or want to get in touch with us, please do so by simply sending an email to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, presents@yahoo.com. So until next time, do take care. And this is a G2 Network Media production.